Hi and welcome back to Take 10 Texture. Today I'm going to be showing you guys two more things you can do with embossing folders to add texture to your page. And I'm also going to show you one of my favorite things to do with border punches that add a lot of texture to your page as well. So I'm starting off with this photo that I created using the same app that I used on my last project. That was called Tangent, of course. I have some embossing folders here, a piece of vellum, a piece of white cardstock. I have a border punch and a coffee filter, which I won't be actually using in this one. And I'm just going to cut my pieces of cardstock. One is vellum and one is plain white cardstock. I'm just cutting them to the size of my embossing folders. And you'll notice that there is a bumpy side and a recessed side on the embossing folders. So I have a pad of regular ink. This is regular dye ink. And right now I'm just applying the ink to the bumpy side of my embossing folder. And now it's really important that when you fold the folder that you place the paper right on the other side that doesn't have ink, and then close the inked side onto the side that has the paper on it. I will talk about that in more detail in the video that goes along with this in the embossing folder video. So what I end up with is this really cool debossed image and texture on this piece of paper. And now I'm going to show you what it looks like if I do the exact same pattern, the exact same technique on the other side of the embossing folder. So this is the side that has the relief in the side of the embossing folder. So once again, I held the paper up to the empty side, the side that didn't have the ink, and that just keeps your paper from moving around too much. And now I have this beautiful embossed image, but because the ink did not go into the little recesses of my embossing folder, the little embossed hearts are actually ink free. So you get to see the background paper show through on those hearts that are also embossed. I really love that look. I wanted to show you both of those looks. I also wanted to show you today what vellum looks like in an embossing folder. It comes out absolutely beautifully. So here's what these embossed patterns look like up close. I used Crisp Cantaloupe as my ink, which is a Stampin' Up! Ink, and you'll see that it's not exactly perfect, especially when you do the debossed, but the embossed side of it really turns out beautifully, and I really like the imperfect look of both of these techniques using embossing folders. It's one of my favorite things to do with embossing folders. So I have some vellum, and then I have two pieces of cardstock. You saw me also use a baby wipe just to clean up that embossing folder so that my next project doesn't get any ink on it. And so what I've done is I have attached those two to one another, and then I also matted my photo on a square of the embossed vellum. And so that happened off screen because I forgot to turn on my video camera, but that was just one step. I just basically glued the paper to itself, and then I matted my photo. So here I am trying to decide how I'm going to embellish this. I have some embellishments and paper from the Dear Lizzy Saturday collection, and this washi tape, these are washi tape strips, and I really love them and I want to use them on this page. I haven't quite decided how. I'm toying with the idea of using this set of chipboard letter stickers from the Saturday collection to come up with a title, but I'm not actually going to do that. I love this ampersand. It's a rubber ampersand from one of the embellishment sets for the Saturday collection. And so I'm going to kind of combine that with that sideways clothespin over there on the bottom right-hand side of my photo. And now I took out some of the die cuts that came with the collection, and I'm just going to layer a couple of them over here on the right-hand side. I'm having a look at all of the die cuts, and I took out these reading glasses. Even though my daughter doesn't wear glasses, I think they're still an appropriate embellishment for reading. And I really like this navy blue label, but it's not going to live there, but I just am kind of playing around with where I might put some of these things. I like this little tag. I like the plainness of it, and I like that it's green. There's some green in the kind of tones of the photo. There's no specific green, but there's a bluish pillow that looks kind of green with the filter that I used. So the blue and the green ticket, I found another of the exact same ticket, but it was in blue, so I like that. I'm still playing around with where I'm going to put this little transfer ticket here. There, tucked right in there. It looks quite nice. And then I thought I could layer these glasses right over the green ticket just like that, and put this little navy blue empty label right behind it all. So again, I'm just kind of having a look at what else comes with this collection so that I can know that I'm using all the embellishments that I want to use before I put them all away. And then this piece of washi tape is really cute. It has a phrase on it. It says, "Totally cute." And so I just cut it off following the arrow pattern or the chevron type of pattern on the washi tape so that it had a little bit of the next label beside it on that washi tape. And I haven't glued any of those embellishments down yet, but I feel like I need something, and I'm thinking gold. So I grabbed those Freckled Fawn cork arrows, and I also knew that I had these reading themed stickers, epoxy stickers from Freckled Fawn as well. So I took those out, as well as some Heidi Swapp stickers that I'm actually not going to use. Now it's time for me to start gluing together all of these pieces, and I'm just gluing them so that little bits of them are peeking out, just to add some interest. And I'm mindful of the fact that I need that ampersand to go on there and the clothespin, and I want little bits of them to all show, and I don't want anything to look too awkward. I don't want any gaps or trapped space or anything like that. So I like how that's looking. And then my ampersand can just squeeze right in there, right alongside the clothespin. And I'm using some Tombow Mono Multi adhesive to glue my rubber piece on. This is my favorite adhesive for gluing non-paper things onto my layouts. It's great for gluing non-paper to paper. It holds really, really well. You can also use it for gluing paper to paper, but I don't usually use it for that. I'm just making a little mark on my pattern paper there. This is a paper from the Saturday collection, and so is this. This is going to be my background paper, or at least I think it's going to be. And I'm going to run this to polka dot paper so that it looks like it's running right off the edge of the side of the background paper. And now I'm going to do one of my very favorite techniques with border punches. I haven't done this in a very long time, so even if you watch a lot of my process videos, you probably haven't seen me do this lately. I'm going to take this little scrap of paper that is the scrap from what I had already embossed. And I like that because it picks up on some colors that are already in the layout. And I'm using my Stampin' Up! Scallop border punch. And I'm just going to mess it up and stick some ink on it to make it look a little bit more like the paper that's already on the project. And then I ran my tape runner and I just attached that paper to the back of my project, and then I just folded it over so that the scallops are now showing, and then I used my tiny attacher to just attach those scallops to the right side of the layout. And this creates a really nice kind of textured technique to the edge of something. And I used to do this quite often, and I'm not sure why I stopped doing it. But I really like that. I think it's going to give a nice anchor over on the right-hand side of this project. Now I'm just taking my fingers and lifting up the edges of the papers. I just glued them down onto the polka dot paper, and that gives me a bit of nice shadow. I'm going to stick this little Freckled Fawn sticker. It says, I love to read, and it's the perfect color. It picks up on the blue in the pillow beside my daughter. And then I just placed 3 of those cork hearts, also by Freckled Fawn, and they have beautiful gold accents on them. They're so pretty. I love those hearts. So I just put them in 3 different places so that they create a visual triangle on my page. And now I'm going to repeat that edge technique using this little piece of scrap paper. Also, it's the same piece of paper. And I'm just going to do that after I grab a tag. So this is my little drawer full of tags and journaling cards. And I have this large craft tag with the white reinforcer and the string already on it. That's going to give me a nice big place to journal, and it's going to tuck in behind the other large layers on this project quite nicely. So I'm going to use that, and now here I am picking up that piece of scrap paper again. I'm just going to cut off another little strip the same way that I did on the other side. I've slowed down this video so that you can see it again, just in case you missed it the first time. And so I'm taking my scalloped border punch from Stampin' Up, and I'm just going to punch that scalloped border all the way along one edge, just like that. And now I'm going to take my scrapbook adhesive and, first I have to ink it up a little bit with that crisp cantaloupe ink from Stampin' Up. And I'm not too careful about it. I'm just kind of touching it to the edges. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be even. I'm looking for a pretty messy look here. So now I'm just going to apply some adhesive to the back side of this and just tuck it under the other side, and you'll notice that I'm actually putting it down a little bit lower than the other side. I don't want them to be perfect reflections of each other. I want it to be just balanced but not perfectly symmetrical. So I am now looking for a piece of washi tape that's going to be similar to the piece of washi tape that I used on the other side. Now this one is darker, but it is kind of similar in the terms of the scale of the pattern on this washi tape, and it also tends to blend in with that navy blue background paper the same way that the other one does. So I don't need a full piece here, so I'm just pulling off the bottom part of it. I'm going to, I hadn't applied that piece of paper yet, so that allows me to just wrap that washi tape around the edge of that pattern paper. And now I'm going to just take a regular line of scrapbook adhesive and stick this little piece of scalloped paper upside down, so the wrong side is facing up right now, and attach it to the edge. And now I'm just wrapping it around just like that. And as I do so, I'm just distressing it. I'm just kind of pulling up some of the scallop so that it doesn't sit down perfectly flat. And then I will use my tiny attacher to staple it in 3 places. It looks good with 3 staples, but the other side has a whole bunch of staples, so I went ahead and added some more, just so that it's more even. So that kind of boxes in the layout. It almost looks like it wraps up the main part of the layout there and contains it all. All of the interest in the layout is all kind of contained within there. Now, it was bothering me a little bit that washi tape over on the right side is quite a bit lighter than the washi tape on the left side. And I guess if I could do this over again, I would probably put the same washi tape on either side. That's one of the problems with having just a little bit of washi tape, is that you can't use it as freely as you can if you have a whole roll. So I had a couple of extra scraps, so I just stuck them down in the bottom left-hand corner of my tag. That'll help my tag look like it belongs with the rest of the page. I used my pencil to just really lightly mask off the parts of the tag that will be covered by my layers, and I'm just writing my journaling. I'll read it to you. It says, I was surprised to see Liv reading a book from my bookshelf, an historical fiction fantasy about Jane Grey, which I know nothing about. I guess it was a matter of time, ... I can't wait to read it after her so we can talk about it. One more thing in common. I love this girl. And I did my journaling right off the top of my head. I didn't plan it. And so you'll notice that I kind of just keep on rambling. I just want to fill up the tag with my thoughts here about just catching her reading a young adult fiction instead of a child fiction book. It was a special moment. I'm really looking forward to being able to read books with her. So then I just went back and I outlined my journaling. I've been doing that on almost every layout for the past several months, just to make it look like it just belongs there on the card. I like how it anchors the journaling to the card. Then I just ran some scrapbook adhesive, and now I'm playing around with how far down do I want to put this? Do I want it to go up like this or down a little bit more? And I don't want the bottom to be too lined up, but it's just the size of the tag is kind of awkward, and it couldn't hang down as far as I would have liked it to have hung down, but that's okay. we'll work with it. So then I went over to my Raskog and I picked out some letter stickers, and I picked out all white, except for these boardwalk ones, which have black in them. And then I decided I'm going to use Reader's Gonna Read. So I grabbed my bag because it was my inspiration for the title of this one. I have a little book bag that I can put books in that I got from the bookstore, and it says Reader's Gonna Read. So that's what my title's going to be. I'm using these letter stickers. They're thickers and they're called Sketchbook, and they're a couple of years old, and I have 2 packages of them in one little bag that I repackage my thickers into my own bag. I think I've said that on a previous video. So I'm writing out Readers and Read in that, and that introduces black, but there's already the black ampersand on the layout, and so it brings more black into the layout. And then I wanted Gonna to be in this white Calberteschi font, which is an Amy Tangerine thicker. And so I put Gonna there, and now, okay, so I'm having a hard time with this title because I don't like how it looks like that, but when I put it like that, then it's too far, like it goes all the way to the very, very bottom. And then I have this giant space of empty blue paper up at the top and no big space of empty blue paper at the bottom. I also felt a little bit like this word Readers was too dark and needed something, even though it is white on a black thicker, like there's white printing on it, like those sketchy lines, I just felt like it needed something white. So I took the foam little hats or whatever those are called. I think when they're the other way, they're called a hat. Anyhow, whatever they're called, the greater than and less than symbols. I put them on either side of the word Readers just to bring some white in, and then I'm playing around with spreading both the white and the black around a little bit more. And so see how it just kind of ends at the very, very bottom, and there's just this little sliver of the blue paper. So when this kind of a thing happens to you, and this happens when you scrap off the top of your head instead of planning out your layouts, which is really the way that I always do it, what you can do is you can just add another background paper. So what I'm going to do, pardon my kitty cat, she was very curious about what I was doing. I'm going to make this not be my background paper anymore. So that means I have to tear some of it off, and it basically just becomes another layer. And now I can center this whole piece of paper and all the papers on top of it. I can center it on my new background paper, which I just grabbed from my stash. It's a piece of crepe paper from, I don't even remember which collection it was from. So that's going to go right around there. I put my adhesive on the back of it, and then I just line it up using the lines on the paper. I love using ledger paper as my background, and that particular ledger paper has some of the blues that are in the photo, so I really like that. Now I kind of feel like I need to bring some more black into the layout because it just has the title and then the ampersand. So I put, using the same letter stickers that I lettered my title in, I'm grabbing some more stickers in both of those fonts, and just some of the little not ampersand, but asterisks and geotags that go along with those stickers. And I'm just spreading them around the layout a little bit, just so that, I don't know, so that they look like they blend and belong. I'll find a spot for that asterisk. You just wait. There you go. Right there on the tag. So now I have a couple of hits of black all throughout the layout and a couple of hits of white all throughout the layout. And yeah, so I'm just kind of, I'm not 100% pleased with the title, Reader's Gonna Read. It looks okay. It's just, it's not exactly, it's very different for me. It's an unusual looking title for me. I almost always put my titles on top of something, like on a tag or on a piece of vellum. And so I think that's my struggle right here. I think now that I see it on the video, I think it actually looks pretty nice. In the moment, it didn't feel right. It didn't quite feel right yet. So part of, I think, what makes it not feel right, I think I'm done, so I'm going to show you this, but then I'm going to decide that I'm not done. And I think one of the things that I don't like about it is that bunch of blue polka dotted paper at the bottom. So I thought, well, I'll outline and see if that makes a difference. So I'm putting these kind of like It's an interrupted outline, so I put some circles just where it gets interrupted by the title. And I thought that this might finish it off. But no, it's not. It's still not quite. I do like that better. I like it better with that outline. But I feel like I need to fill up this space to the right and to the left of the title. I don't have to. I mean, it looks okay, but I think the reason I'm still fiddling with it is that it is a different style of a layout for me. As I mentioned, I almost always put my titles on something, so I'm struggling to make my title feel like it looks okay. I think it looks all right, though. I might be being a bit too hard on myself. So I have these bits of washi tape, these strips of washi tape that came in the collection. And so I'm just putting them over to the right of the word gonna. And then I thought about putting the little bit to the left of gonna, but it wasn't big enough. And so now I'm thinking about putting, maybe layering a couple of pieces of tape. And then I thought, why am I trying to use this tape that is just too short? What I really need is a whole roll of washi tape instead of trying to make these little strips fit. So I'm going to head over to my stash and grab a proper roll of washi tape so that I can do what I want to do a little bit more efficiently. So this is from June, and from the Millie and June collection from Fancy Pants. And it's a nice, thick, wide washi tape. And it has some of the orangey colors as well as some navy blue in it. And so it picks up on some of the colors that are already in the project. And I'm just going to outline it to give it a little bit more emphasis. And that's quite nice. I quite like how that turned out. I think that putting the washi tape to the right and to the left of the title, it just makes the title feel a little bit more like it belongs there, especially given that it's a different styled title than what I'm used to doing on my own projects. So now I will show you how this one looks up close. That's one of my very favorite ledger papers, the one that I used behind this project. I love it. And so here you get to see how much texture that little folded over border strip really adds, especially with the staples attached to it and pulling it up like that. And the washi tape adds a little bit more interest to the right and to the left. And then those little layered die cut pieces and the rubber piece is just so beautiful. I love the texture that the embossing folders made on that background paper, and I really like how I was able to line up the hearts so that the hearts on the two pieces of paper match up while the papers themselves are not matched up. They're staggered. So I liked the way that just happened to turn out. That was a total coincidence. So here are the photos of this one. We have one more process video for this class. So head on over to the classroom and I will see you over there.